Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in tonight's free video I wanted to kind of keep it simple and just look at a couple very straightforward stock picks. Now, I'll share a couple of ideas if I'm kind of thinking about playing these. At the end of the day, you always want to make sure that you're following your plan. But we've got some interesting setups here with GWPH. So as always, I'm looking to these daily squeeze signals to look for an opportunity to try and buy something when I think that it is getting ready to move. You know, largely, price has been sitting here consolidating between about 160 and 180, give or take. But you've got earnings on the horizon, and you have that nice daily squeeze where momentum has begun to shift. And today, being a down day, I think you start pursuing some bullish positions on this, probably going out into the May monthly options. And then if you can catch the directional move and then also catch the rise in implied volatility, well, you're not looking to do anything through earnings, but you're looking to see that if ideally you could make a new high prior to earnings, get both of those, the Greeks, direction and volatility in your favor. And I think that that would be a trade that's worth looking at. Another one that I'm going to look at that is a little bit different and may not be very exciting for some, but I think it has a decent looking technical setup, is in Duke. So for Duke Energy, the one helpful thing that I could at least offer in a way of thinking in this is that when you look at XLU, I'm always looking for instances where the underlying ETF, or in this case your sector ETF, has got a squeeze in play. You've had an excellent run here from about 52 up into 57. We've probably spent some time consolidating. I'm thinking that as the 50-day simple moving average can catch up to price, that may help accelerate the ETF. And then if so, you're going to look down into its components to look for a similar kind of situation. This is also interesting to show how symmetry has held so well. Just the idea that this swing high from would have been February 12th down into the lows of February 15th, that decline is exactly the same price decline as what you saw from March 22nd down into April the 4th. So those patterns are repetitive, and that just lets you know that the pattern of higher highs and higher lows is still intact, and I think we have reason to look at this one. You'll also notice that Duke has a weekly squeeze in play, so these are one of the few instances that I would be willing to hold through earnings because you can define your risks so well. And I think by coming out here and looking at these July options, if you're going to be looking at this on Wednesday, those will have right at 100 days of life left. If you could pick up those 92 half calls for anywhere around $1.20, now I don't know if they'll trade quite that cheap. I'd like to try to get them as close to $1 as humanly possible, but I don't think they'll trade quite that low. But it's just the idea that if you can pick those up for a reasonable price, be willing to hold through earnings, acknowledging the complete risk of the spread, but then if you can make that new lifetime high on the back of these signals, look at what the last weekly squeeze did for us. You can kind of highlight this here. You can see this is the signal that I'm referring to in the lower subgraph. You can see that from that move, the kind of the energy that released and the move that you saw in Duke, if this signal is going to do anything similar, zooming in there on the current weekly squeeze, if it's going to do the same thing, there is the chance for a similar move, and if so, and you make the new high, those slightly out of the money options could pay you very well, and of course if the idea just doesn't work at all, the risk for those is very well defined. So those are two ideas that I'm going to be looking at as we get into tomorrow. One that you hold into earnings and sell prior to the report. The other that you're willing to hold completely through it. And I hope you find the ideas helpful.